Going to talk about finding the secret to financial freedom. So, how we can establish one number that allows us to unlock our dream lifestyle. Now, it's important that we remember whenever we're planning around our finances, what the purpose of our finances are. The purpose of our income, the purpose of the assets that we build up is to fund a lifestyle. So the first step to finding financial freedom, we think, is defining what that means for you. So thinking about the things that you want to do, both in the short term and in the long term as well in the future, thinking about who you want to take with you and when those objectives fall. When do you want to move home? When do you want to take a certain trip? So looking forwards, visualizing what your future might look like is a really, really key step towards building that future. The clients that we talk to, the people that we have conversations with who have the best relationship with money aren't always those who have the most of it. It's those who have the clearest idea of what's important to them so that they can prioritize those things and focus their income and assets towards the things that give them the most value. So I'd encourage all of you to go through that process. We know that life isn't a rehearsal. We get one go around. So let's get life moving. Let's do the things we have on our bucket list. Let's start to achieve the things that we want to achieve. So whether it's just you, whether you're part of a couple, if you've got loved ones, children that you want to bring on that journey with you, I think it's a really good conversation to be having at home where you map out what you might want to do over the next 12 months, what you might want to do in, say, the next 5 years, and then what you might want to do over, say, the next 10 years. That gives us enough of a run up. You'd be amazed at what we can achieve in 10 years if we start to make small changes. But we're only going to make those changes and gear ourselves up for changing our life, creating the lifestyle that we want, if we can identify those things and work towards them with as much time ahead of ourselves as possible. Okay, so do think about where you want to live. What does the home look like? How important is it to you that you have X number of bedrooms or an outdoor space? Do you want to help your children? Do you want to support them with deposits on a property, help them towards weddings, buy their first car for them, help fund education? Where do you want to holiday? How often? How will you travel? What kind of seat on the plane will you be expecting? So again, think about this holistically. Think about this from a day-to-day point of view. If you were be able to map out your ideal lifestyle, what does that look like in every sense? Once we build up that picture, once we visualize what that means for us, we can then start to gear our assets towards achieving it. But that planning process is critical. If we know what we're aiming at, if we know what we need as an income to facilitate the kind of lifestyle that we want, and we appreciate that we might have to compromise with that to a degree. So we might not be able to hit all of our targets straight away. We can work towards them. But once we know what they are, we can start to assign financial targets. So we might be able to identify that the holidays we want to go on might cost us £3,000 a year or £13,000 a year, whatever it might be for you. Okay, once we have those financial objectives, we can start to see how we stack up against them. Now, we call this cash flow modeling in our industry, and that involves detailing your spending habits. So getting an understanding of where your money's going now so that we can make some changes, tinker with the situation again to work towards what we're trying to achieve. So that's mapping out your income as well as your expenditure and then projecting that forwards. Think about how much we're adding to our savings, whether it's our pension, a savings account, an ISA that we have, how much is going into those habitually, and then we can model how they might develop going forwards. We then need to add in any one-off costs that come from the goals that we have. So if you do want a wedding that you're planning in the future, if you do want to buy a new car, if you do want to put an extension on your home or remodel your garden, whatever it might be, let's assign a target in terms of the time scale under which we might do that. And then we can factor those big ticket items, those aspirational things into our planning, again, assigning a cost to them, assigning a physical value to them so that we can see how they'll affect our savings, how they'll affect our assets looking forwards. From there, it should allow us, once we've got that picture, that kind of cash flow model, that income versus expenditure, it should then allow us to identify objectives we're not achieving that might highlight to us that we need to make some sacrifice in the shorter term in order to achieve our objectives. And we can decide how we do that, what vehicles we use from an investment point of view. So, are we needing to add more money into our short term savings account? Are we needing to add more money into our pension to achieve retirement? Or do we need to add more money into, say, a stocks and shares ISA for something that falls between those two timescales? So once we've done that, we can then keep our forward facing cash flow model under review, because we know that certainly if we map out a 10-year vision, that vision might change as time goes on. This is something that my family and I do periodically at home, is map out our future. And if we look back at some of the things that we've identified as our objectives 5 or 10 years ago, some of them we will have achieved, some of them we won't. But half of those things have fallen off of our objective list just because life changes. So this plan, we know, needs to be dynamic. The things that you want to achieve might change. But again, it's all about identifying them, looking forward so that you can plan and develop your finances going forwards.